What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. I'm one of your hosts, Dizzo, and we are excited about today's show. You know, Imperfect Action is all about talking to 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs about their journey, how they got to where they are, some challenges, some pitfalls, some success stories, and really just leveling up in your business. So I'm excited to be here today with Ebony, who is a wellness strategy, and we're going to talk all about how to become better within. Because as we know, this journey is about starting with your mindset first, getting things right in your back office, which I call your mindset, your body and soul, before you can become a 6, 7, 8-figure earner. So welcome, Ebony, to the show. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's good to be
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. So let the audience know where you're from, a little bit about your background.
So I am from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised, still here. People say they hear accent, but of course I don't hear it because it's me. But a little bit about me. I am a registered nurse. Loved being a registered nurse. Still love being a registered nurse. But I realized that my passion and my talents and what I find fun to do is to help people improve on their productivity and their efficiency. And I love to see people to take people through the journey from ideation to creation to implementation and see them actually do great things in the world.
hmm I love that. And so how long have you been a registered nurse? And then how long have you been in this journey of helping others get to their almost to the end of their journey, ideation to implementation, to actually taking the action steps to get to the next level?
I've been a registered nurse for 10 years now. Ugh, yeah, no, yeah, 10 years. And I have slowly morphed to the implementation wellness strategy in the last year and a half. Before that, I was actually teaching dialysis, wellness, and kidney health because that's where I work as a registered nurse.
Nice, nice. And how did you get into thinking like, okay, I know maybe it was a passion cord, right? To say I want to help others get to the next level and implement in their own business and help them with their strategy. What was kind of like the aha moment for you that was your transitioning point?
The aha moment was so when I was doing dialysis wellness, I started realizing that I was dialyzing generations of families, meaning I would have grandma in 2001, and by 2005 or six, I had niece, nephew, son, daughter. And I realized that although I want people to know they can be well while on dialysis, the focus really should be also on helping people maintain their kidney health so that they don't make it, to that point if they can at all help it. And then when I realized when I started teaching that was people are just not, they're aware. Obviously, you see your loved one, your mom, your dad going through this, having to go into treatments 3 times a week, all of the struggles and barriers that they face. So they're aware, but it was just a lack of implementing better habits, better routines, and being able to really actually do the things that they needed to do to stay out of that situation. That was like the biggest problem for most of the people that I saw. And so I transitioned to time, which really just transitions to implementation and efficiency, because so many people look at time management like, oh, it's my time, it's a schedule,
hmm
which it is. But to me, my approach, and I guess what makes my approach a little more unique than other people, is that I look at, the intrinsic things. How are you feeding your mind? How much mental capacity do you have? How are you, going about your stress management and dealing with the real life things that you encounter, so that you can actually put things in place that make sense for you and not just something you heard someone else say, but something that will work for you, because not everything works for everyone. And I can give you advice that works for me and it probably won't work because your life and my life and the busyness, and the to-dos are different.
hmm Absolutely. And what are some of like the top three challenges that you see people coming into your program with in terms of getting to implementation, getting into structure, getting into balance to really make things happen?
Having too many things on their to-do list, not having any white space in their calendar, and then just the sheer not knowing how to accomplish either one of those things, not really understanding that when you take things off of your to-do list is not meaning that you're not doing them. it's just that you're finding more harmony in when they get done and when they don't. And with the white space, how people book 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and they're just unsure because they're like, if I don't do that, I won't get everything done. And it's like, you're not really getting everything done now, number one. And then number two, you're not really being efficient at any of it because you're just not able to focus, and you don't have the capacity to focus.
Right, absolutely. Because it's like you're scheduling back to back on top, and you're not really taking moments to take a time out. And I think that's an important question, important topic to talk about with people, especially if they're entrepreneurs, because sometimes we're on go mode the entire day, and we don't even take a half an hour break away from the work that we're doing in between tasks to kind of just reset the mind, right? So how,
Right.
in your opinion, does someone who's on go, go, go because they feel like they have to get everything done, how does that on the reverse end affect kind of their mental health and their overall balance in life when it comes to being successful?
It affects it because it really bogs down the mental capacity and honestly the physical capacity. When we get tired, on top of having a tired brain, physically being tired, you can forget about it. You can work. I always say 3 hours of like distracted time is not as beneficial as 1 hour of clear focus time. And it's not. I'm like, if you work and you understand when you work at your highest and best self, and when you're more energetic, and if you even understand that I am more clear in the morning, so what I do in the afternoon and the evening, I can still work, but it can't be things that I need 100% of my brain for. It's just really getting people to understand, like, you can do it all, and if you find your sequence and you find your stride, you find your pace, you will be a lot more, and I hate to always use the word productive, and I prefer efficient, because sometimes, the whole productivity thing is like, everything isn't necessarily always about being productive. They're like, if you need to rest, there are two different things from I just don't feel like it versus my body is telling me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so what might be, productivity could also look like taking a nap, because that's what you need. Now, there are times for both, and I wouldn't ever say keep going, and I would never say lay down all of the time. It just really depends, and you really have to be aware and have that self-awareness, and that accountability to yourself, to say, all right, am I really tired, or do I just not feel like doing this right now?
Right. Absolutely. And I could see someone not feeling like doing it if they haven't identified where their peak time is, right? So the same with you. I'm someone after like 6, 7 o'clock, my intelligent brain turns off. And I can do like busy work, like the things that I don't have to really think about. But if I need to write an email or send something that is going to be costly if it's not done right, then I have to do that in the morning. And I think it's important for people to understand, like you said, where their peak max time is, like mental capacity, physical capacity, and then overall, versus what we tend to hear on social media a lot, or the gurus, where it's like, okay, you have to get up at 4:30 in order to be successful. And I've realized and noticed in this journey that yes, you do need to create more time in your day to be efficient, right? Efficient and effective to get the work done, because time collapses so quickly. But it's more about doing it at your right peak hours, and then scheduling correctly so that you can take care of the things. I call it take care of the bleeding. So take care of the things that are the absolutes on that to-do list, and then be okay letting some things go over into the next day or flow over. So I think it's really important for people to hear that, because again, we are all different. We all operate on different schedules. We all need different times, different rest hours per se. So yeah, I think that's genius. And talking about really maxing out on the multitasking, because multitasking is something that we hear quite often. In my opinion, I don't think multitasking is efficient or effective. It's not the best way to go about managing different things. What's kind of your thoughts and opinions on someone who has a lot on their plate? I know you talked about not having too much on your to-do list, having some white space. How do you sort of coach on what's the priority, what's important, and how do you manage multiple things being an operator?
No, I definitely agree. Multitasking isn't. I mean, and once again, I mean, there are situations where, like you said, if it's just busy work, you maybe can do, a few of those mindless things all at once. But on a whole, I don't. I also don't subscribe to multitasking. Um, because there is so much research behind how unbeneficial it is, how task switching, which is rapidly switching in between tasks, really takes up time because it takes you 20, 30 minutes to even acclimate to that new task. And if you're switching back and forth, that's hours that you're wasting. And so how I coach and train on that is to um when I do a time management audit, so I have everybody do that, and then we get into the what's a priority. So you make a list of everything that has to be done, like your bleeding situation, everything that's a must.
Mhm.
What are your must, what are your wants, and what do you can keep, give or take. You can have it or you cannot have it. And then out of that list, we prioritize all of them. And then I have people look at a calendar, digital, tangible, physical, whatever. And then I always start with block timing. They're all different kinds of techniques,
Mhm.
Pomodoro, the 80/20, all kinds of different techniques. So, but I usually start with block timing only because it's visible, and you can actually see, okay, this block is here, this block is here. Because I teach people, it's very important to know, number one, how long something takes you to do. And if
Mhm.
you've never done it before, time yourself and just get an approximate. It don't have to be like 48 minutes and 30 seconds, just a roundabout. How long does something take you? Because when you block time, or if you start to implement any other technique of time, you understand, something happened. I had 4 hours to sit and write, format, and publish this blog. I don't have those 4 hours anymore. Something happened, only have two. You have the option of doing what you can do in 2 hours, or switching that out with something that only takes 2 hours and moving that 4 hour task somewhere else. And
Mhm.
so it's important to know how long something generally takes you, and take into consideration that if this is your first time or first few times doing something, you will get faster and a little more efficient as you go, which will, ultimately create more time, later down the road. But that's the first thing, is just take an inventory and stock of everything that you have once. What is important. I always tell people, make sure there are some many wellness practices in there along the way, because I see so many entrepreneurs, high blood pressure, diabetes, with all of these health issues, and the nurse in me is like, if you don't want to be on, long-term medication, have long-term damage done to your body. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, like you said, that hustle and grind. I'm
Mhm.
hustling and grinding that. It might look good now, but 10, 20, 25 years later down the line, when your body is breaking down, you're going to wish that you made different decisions in this moment in time right here. So that's also just another thing that I make sure people do, is like, make some time, to just do some healthy stuff, move around. If you don't really like to work out, dance, do something, but wellness practices are a must in this efficiency journey. If your body's not running efficiently, neither will your business.
Absolutely. I love that. So it's a full moment, right? A full body experience. And so I
Hmm.
want to talk a little bit about um making sure people are implementing, and what like your top three tips are for why implementation is important in this process, right? Because I was, going through your social media page, looking at some of your posts as well, and you were talking about the cost of not doing it, being very high, and some other things. So talk to us about, why the implementation strategy is important in business.
The cost of not doing, I've read the book 12-week year, which I love. I still haven't really fully implemented it yet, because it's a to me it takes a while to like marinate and really fully understand it. But I love the principle, and how you can kind of, quote unquote, collapse time by being a little more efficient and effective 4 times out the year, versus having 4 years in one year versus having one whole year. And they talk a lot about the cost of, which really really got me thinking of, like, yeah, what is the cost of not implementing? And I read a journal years ago, or read a book by Miles Monroe, and he talked about it. It hit me when he said, "The graveyard is the home of so much potential." And that stuck with me, because and I always felt like I do not want to, take any of this gift. I can't take it with me. I don't want it to be, wasted. What I have, to share, and what we all have to share is important to people. We can affect people. I taught a class the other day, and it wasn't even on time, but some of the reactions was, I didn't even think about that. I do need to have more white space. And I'm like, you can really help, save somebody's life, make somebody's quality of life better, by what you have to offer. And if you don't have the time, or you have all of this great stuff to say and you never say it because you never get to that point, it's sad to me. Like, it really makes me, it really makes me sad. And so I would say that's the number one cost, is just that you're not, putting out into the world what you could be, and people are not able to benefit from what you don't say and what you don't do. So that will be the first thing. The second thing, I will go back to your health, and health might be number one, but that's just what I thought about first. But the second thing I will say is your health, because you just can't get it back. There are some times where things may be reversible if they catch it, early enough. But on the whole, once that damage starts to occur, even if you stop it at that point, that damage is still there. And just your health and your ability to move. I follow people, Maddie James, and she's one of the first people I heard say in a while. And she talks about reframing what you say, instead of saying, "Oh, I have to do this and I have to do that." And she says, "No, you get to,
Right.
I get to, do this extra thing, this side hustle, this whatever it is. No, you get to do that. You get to do that because, and you appreciate that, and you be grateful for that, because there are so many people who woke up and wish they could, you
Mm-hmm.
know, who wish they could, whether just mentally they're not there, physically they're not there, they just don't have the drive, the motivation, whatever it is. There are people who wish that they could do the things that you get to do.
Right.
And it's just very important that you protect, your health, all of them, emotional, mental, physical. You protect them at all costs, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice any of those,
Right.
wellness concepts to live your dream either. And so, flip side of that, either way you look at it, your health is just very important for implementation. And I would say the third thing is, just because you need to, it's just so many people who don't do, and I was one of those people. I had, when I first like got into business, it was like 5 years, and I had that perfectionism thing where I would kind of put something out, and I would, it would seem so good, I'm working on it, I'm all in it, and then when it come time to start dripping it out, and I'm like, either I didn't know about it, I didn't think it was good enough, and I, when I first started working with my first coach, and by the time we dug into everything I was doing, and she was like, "You don't need to make another thing. Don't make another thing. Don't start another thing. You have plenty of things." And what that really made me realize is that although I was in motion all that time, I was not in action. And motion and action are very different. And I thought because I was in motion that I was doing things, and I really was doing nothing. And it really made me focus on my own, efficiency and productivity, and not just being busy, but being intentional about what I wanted to do and what actions I was taking. So I would say that those three things, I probably could name a lot more, but top ones that come to mind right now, those are top three.
Yes. I love that. And that last one is really good because I think at a certain point in time, most, if not all, entrepreneurs may go through that moment of being in motion because we have so many thoughts and ideas. We're creatives for the most part. We have a vision. There's so many things we want to get done, and then we don't stick to the one thing, or we don't take enough action steps. And so hence the Imperfect Action Show is all about taking imperfect action so that you can get momentum in that one thing that you're doing, right? Or if you're doing several things, but you're doing several things really well, taking action in all of those things, then more than likely it's going to work out. But without the action part of it, you're just moving through the process, but you're not really seeing the results on the other side. So I love that you said that. That was a gem. So if you all missed that, go back and rewind, because Ebony just dropped a gem right there for you in terms of being able to implement. And now, when we talk about uh, the mental capacity and the physical capacity, on the physical side of things, sleep is something that is extremely important for the body. You got to be at rest at some point in order to be at your optimal performance. Um, how do you identify with your clients how much time they need for rest? Because I know it goes back to, some of us feel like we need to rest for 7 or 8 hours, or feel like we can stay up until 1 and then get up at 9 in the morning. But that might not be the case. We might only need 4. Like, is there an actual diagnosis, or is there like a structure that people go through to figure out what that looks like for them? How do you work on that?
I think the most common thing I see is that people can't sleep.
Mm,
And so, but to your point, so they are up at 1, 2, and most people have kids that gotta be to school, and it's like I gotta get up at like 6 o'clock. And so I know it's recommended 7 to 8 hours. Some people, now I would love, I'm one of the people who can't sleep. I would love, and I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm in the bed by 9, 9:30, I'm asleep by 10. Like, I wish I could be asleep by 10 o'clock. There is no way that I would have to be up probably like 2 days in a row and
right.
to go to bed at 10 o'clock any earlier than I went to bed before 11 last night. I was proud of myself. Like, proud of myself. And like, this is something I've even worked on with my therapist. I'm like, I just can't sleep. Like, I can't sleep. At first I used to have the journal by the bed, and then I read that that wasn't necessarily a good thing to do while you're in the bed, because you're still not teaching yourself to
Mm,
set that the bed is for rest. So like, my therapist had told me, when you can't sleep, get up for 15 minutes and just go sit somewhere dark, quiet. Don't do anything, because that's what I would do. I would get up if I couldn't sleep, and I would do things. Obviously I'm not going to go back to sleep if I didn't been in front of my computer or something like that. And
right.
so I started, we always hear about night routines, and I feel like it's hit or miss. Everybody has to have their own ingredients in that. But what works for me, what has been working for me, is tea, any kind of tea. I used to like try to sleepy time tea. It was okay. Lately, I've been drinking peppermint tea at night. Lemon, if you want, honey. I just do like plain or like lemon and lime. And I don't try to look at my electronics after people say 9. For me, it's 8 o'clock. If I look at it anytime after 8 o'clock, it doesn't work. It has to be before 8 o'clock for me. And
Better than me. I'm in the bed like this
I
with one
know,
eye.
terrible. I'm like, and it took me a while. Like so now I even will just go to a different part. I like don't take my phone, my iPad. I don't take anything because I'm gonna look at it. I
Mhm.
am. I am. I'm not that disciplined with it, not to see something that pop up like, ooh, especially that nighttime brain where the brain is off. So it's not necessarily, it's like squirrely at that point. You just like, ooh, all of the
Mhm.
stuff. And so I do that. Aromatherapy helps me a lot. So some kind of candle, essential oil spray, something like to calm me down. And then I do like to meditate at night as well as in the morning time. So with sleep, I just try to tell people, you just have to find, what helps you relax. Like, it's different for everybody. Some people, a bath. Now a bath relaxes me, doesn't necessarily make me sleepy.
Mhm.
It relaxes me, but I won't necessarily be sleepy after that. So we really just usually go through, different activities just to find what happens, and then document. It's funny, when I was a nurse, it was always documentation, and even now as a trainer, I'm like, write your trends down, and that's for everything. You have to log or trend what you're doing, because you're not going to remember what worked and what didn't 5 months from now. You're not
Right.
going to remember. As much as you would like to think you are, you're not. So write it down. And then that way you can start to create a plan, once again, that works for you and that you can stick with. Because I think the plan working and the plan sticking are
Mhm.
also two different things. Like, it could work. I know, probably like 7, 8 years ago, I started like having anxiety, never had anxiety in my life. And I found that what worked for me was guided meditation, not the just the music, unless it was classical music, but in the beginning guided, because I could not stop. Like I couldn't. And I know they say, you don't stop or whatever, but I couldn't stop enough, to just feel less anxious. And I knew that that worked for me, right? And I would do it for like 3 months. And then I would slowly fall off and start, feeling more anxious and like, oh, what's going on? What's wrong? And then I'll look at my journal like, yeah, stop meditating. And this, and it's like now you've been 4 months feeling like crap. And when you know what the solution is, it helps you. But I wasn't writing it down.
Right.
And so I guess I lost track of it. And that happens to so many of us. And then it's the mental beatdown part. It's the mental beatdown. Oh, you a slacker, you a failure, you can't get this right. Then all of that, that negative self-talk starts to eat you up. And now we have a whole other problem.
Yes.
I know we talked about sleep, but this is like, it's just a cycle. And so, yeah, if you get more sleep and just track what you're doing so that you can stay on track, it just decreases the chances of you completely burning the wagon and having to rebuild it before you can ride it again.
Right. 100%. And again, having that full optimal brain so that you can get through the task that you have to get through and
Yes.
do it in a way that's efficient, to your point, not necessarily productive, but efficient. Because you can produce, but if it's not going to be efficient for what needs to come next, you're just doing the things. You're not really taking the right action. So I love that you said that. It's important. And for the people who are watching, who are thinking, I'm wanting to get better at implementing strategies in my business that'll help me get to the next level. I'm not sure what this transformation looks like. What's the transformation that you've seen with your clients coming into your program and then heading out of your program as a result of going through learning these different techniques and strategies?
So, clients coming in looked very overwhelmed, unsure of themselves, full of ambition, but yet had doubt that they were able to pull it off, whether it was because they didn't know things, they didn't know how they were going to get things done. Life is happening to all of us at all times. And through the program, through the training, they are able to realize, number one, that they can do it, even if they don't know how. There are ways you can learn how, you can delegate, you can, there's all types of software and people that are able to help in all different price range. So the how isn't necessarily, I think that's the one thing they learn. The how isn't as big of a deal as they thought, that it was. Number two, they learned that they can have a schedule and they can actually do things and complete things, because a lot of times when you're new, not even when you're new, whether you're new in business or you just been in business for a long time, I think both of them pose a lot of challenges. When you don't know anything, you're trying to work on the business and in the business at the same time. If you're established, if you have a team, you have help, now you're just, maybe totally working on the business in it at some points in time, but then that's another level of demands put on you. And so that takes a lot of, okay, you might have to get an assistant. It's a lot of mindset things. People don't like to let go, control issues, all of those things. So we really work through all of those things. Okay, what's your concern with the control? Because you can surely have a concern about it, but what's certain is that if you do not make a change, you're going to continue to be in a situation. Do you want to be? Once that answer is no, give yourself the permission, work on what you need to work on so we can get past it. Because that's like, I'm not a therapist. I attend therapy regularly, but I am not one. And so sometimes that's a suggestion. This is a mental barrier. This is some past trauma. These roots need to be dug up. Maybe, you need to see a therapist. That is something totally that I tell people, because that hinders the work on them. And it hinders the work that we do. And so at the end of the day, though, what it looks like is them being able to, proceed through life and business, because that is both. It's not just, the business. It's, you can proceed through life and business at the same time, be effective in both, be rested, well nourished, and healthy for the most part, as healthy as they can be. And the change and the transformation is that you now have strategies, tools, systems, and processes in place that help you to stay consistent. Because if we can go through all of these things, but if you can't, weather like storms, you're going to end up where you were before you met me. And so you come to my training, you come to my program, so that no matter what season of life you're in, you have sustainable foundation on which you can fall back on.
Right. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I know you mentioned a book earlier. I would like you to give us one book that you would recommend for someone who's working on going through this implementation stage or even time management. And then the second part of that is an app that you would recommend. Because I know I'm someone, I've been through a million different time management apps and none of them work for me, at least. Right. And so I'm old school, pen to paper, like got to take it back. Like not even a calendar online. Like I need to write everything out. But I know we're in a digital age, so I would love for the audience to know an app that you would recommend, and then a physical book or a book that they can read on Audible when it comes to managing your time, owning your time, and getting more structured.
So I'm like you. And I'm my husband used to
14 journals, 800
my
planners.
husband used to always say, you have a calendar, and we made the family calendar, so da 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 da. But every time, like, I never accept anything because I have a physical planner too. I have to have it, and so I have apps too, but the passion planner. If you've never had the passion planner, check them out. Love it. This is my fifth year, my fifth one. Absolutely love the passion planner. They have this gonna be like a little passion planner, like set, like rave. I love them though. They have a whole bunch of PDFs that you can print out. Like, you get the planner, they have, little stickers, but they have like habit trackers and, like 30-day gratitude things. And I mean, all kinds of things. You can go on passionplanner.com, check it out. Amazing, amazing planner. As far as digital, so I tend to use three things to organize my life and business. I use Asana, I use Trello, and I use Notion.
Okay.
I use Trello mainly for my content, because I like the board format. Now, Asana does do a board format, but it looks different. And so I like Asana because my mind thinks in an outline form. I am a main task girl, and then I need to list all of the subtasks. And that's exactly how Asana allows you to document your things. You put your task here, and then all your subtasks can go into another tab off of that one. So it's not all congested. All you see is the main task. Love that. And then Notion, I'm not like technologically savvy with creating like those templates, but you can go on Etsy and people I follow, and you share them or you can buy them for cheap. But I love Notion because of the collapsibility of being able to document things, but you can collapse them and I can see everything here, but really I have like tons of stuff, so I love Notion for that. So those are like the top three apps that I use for just to keep me on task. And Asana, you can date them. If you date them and assign yourself to them, you get more morning emails. This is what you have to do for the day. So it's just an extra reminder to help you, stay on track. Books. So I read the 12-week year. I probably have three top ones for most recently. I've read the 12-week year. I've read, she's actually a psychologist, Nidra Glover Tawwab. She's on Instagram. But Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Because boundaries, and we didn't even get into that, but boundaries with other people's as well as yourself is also part of this whole process. And then I would say the third book would be Atomic Habits, because that really was, I read that year. It's just some books I read yearly, and that is one of them.
Very nice. Very nice. Wow, that was great. I'm like, hold on. I'm thinking, what do I need to implement right now as soon as we get off the call? But it's necessary. It's very necessary, especially if you are looking to be a 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneur in 2023. There's so many moving parts when it comes to business, so many things that we have to take care of, manage, and handle, including our own bodies, minds, and souls. And so, Ebony, that was amazing. Let the people know where they can find you and what's your program offering and how they can learn more.
Yes, thank you for having me. So I'm on Instagram at LWAP Consulting. I am also on LinkedIn as Ebony G. And you can visit my website. I have tons of free resources, free training classes, free guides that can help you, whether it's procrastination, time, whatever, most of those time related efficiency wellness things you're looking for. I have a free resource, blog, podcast episode on it, and you can see all of that at my website, www.lwapllc.com.
Perfect. All right, you all heard it here first from Ebony. Go out there, take action, implement in your business. It's about being efficient, not so much productive. This was another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. We'll see you on the next one. Make sure you own the day. Have a good one. Thank you so much, Ebony.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you all.